Hey YouTube, John here. Just a quick, this is a first part of a review that I'm going to do on these King triggers, as promised. I ordered them yesterday from UK Island Photography. I'll put a link underneath. They cost me £109. That's with postage and packaging, and as you can see they're here now, so they came the day after. I ordered them yesterday at 11:30. The bloke, about 11:50, 12 o'clock, I got an email to say they'd been dispatched, and they're here today, which is absolutely breathtaking. I'm really glad about that. Now, I was going to do an unboxing, but I hate unboxing. I think it's rubbish. What do you want to see an unboxing for? But as you can see, that's what you get in the box. You get the little stand, which you should have one with your flash anyway, but this one feels a bit jazzier. And then you've got your transmitter, your receiver, you've got your little nice pouch, which is great, and you get a couple of cables in there as well to connect it to studio lights. I'm not going to pull them all out, you don't need to see them. If you were looking at this review, you know what usually comes with decent triggers. Now, first things first, I've given them a quick test this morning, and they seem to work really well. ETTL, no white balance shifts, they seem to work, they seem to fire consistent, they've not misfired. I've put the flash all over the house, bounced it from the wall, bounced it from the ceiling, put it on the floor, put it round the corner. I've shot against backlit situations out of the window and then used the flash in ETTL to fill in, off camera obviously. And it's just worked flawlessly every time. I've never had a misfire. I've had a little plain manual, but I haven't used that too much because I know if ETTL is going to work and there's no misfires, I don't like that. Manual's just going to work anyway. You have control of everything. Just before I go though, before I do the nice review, which is probably about 15-20 minutes review later on, I'd just like to say that I did try update the firmware on them quickly before I go anywhere. It wouldn't work on Mac operating system. I had to use Windows. Basically you download you go to Pixel King, you download the exe file, you extract it, you double click the exe file, then it opens up into a window saying disconnected. You then plug your transmitter in, or your receiver. You need to get one for the transmitter and one for the receiver, and you plug it in but you don't turn it on. Then you leave it for so long, then you turn on your receiver or your transmitter, whichever one you're going to do first, and then you'll see your software will read it and tell you it's connected. Now, with me getting mine from UK Island Photography, there was right up to date. It was the latest firmware, and also I've noticed that mine have come with a red LED in. I know people were saying there was white or blue. Mine have got a big bright as well. It's really bright, a red LED in the transmitter to help you focus, and it works stonking. I will show you later on. This is just merely just a quick chat just to let you know it works fine. A bug that I found straight away. Now, it's not really, it is a little bit annoying, but it's not really going to dishearten me in any way, and I'm sure they'll fix it in the next firmware update, as you can update these from the USB cable, whereas the Knights, they was okay, but the fiddly menus was a bit fiddly, and if you needed a firmware upgrade or whatever, you had to sell them and buy the latest version. These you'll never have to sell, you'll just update your firmware through the PC. Anyway, tried them, I found a bug. Say you was doing a portrait and you set your flash up and everything up great, and you were stood somewhere, but you decided you were shooting a backlit situation and that you wanted to turn the transmitter off on the camera so the flash doesn't fire, so you can get an ambient exposure, which is what I've been doing this morning. When you turn your transmitter back on, your flash defaults back to 24mm zoom, and if you're using rear curtain sync or you was in manual, it'll default back to ETTL. If you're in ETTL, it's not really a problem. The only thing you've got to remember is your zoom will have gone to 24mm, so you have to quickly bab back into your menu and just knock your zoom to whatever. So you need to remember that. Or if you were in manual, like I've said, and you turn your flash off, you'd have to just quickly remember your power before you turned it off. If you were at half power, you just quickly turn it off, get your ambient and turn it back on and start there. It's definitely a bug, because to use these Kings you go into your menu system and you choose external flash, and then you get all your menus in there. I then put the flash on the camera itself, and I set the flash power in manual and did all the great stuff. I then turned the camera back off and back on, and it remembered all those settings. So it's definitely a Pixel King bug, not a Canon bug. I expected maybe when I turned the camera back on that the flash would default that, but it didn't. So that's worth remembering. There's a little bug there, but it's not. As long as you know it's there, you know it's there. So if you were doing a shoot somewhere, you'd think, alright, I've turned my transmitter, I'll turn it back on, I'll just quickly check my settings. It could be a bit annoying, and I hope they do fix it. But apart from that, I'm really delighted with these triggers so far. I'm going to go out and do some more intense testing in the garden. I'm going to do a lot of ETTL testing more than manual, really, because manual will just work anyway. ETTL's the thing that everybody's probably wanting to know how well it works. So I'll try ETTL, I'll do a bit of range testing. But so far I've took about 100 pictures in house, and it's not misfired, it's never not fired. It's worked as if it was just on the camera. So far, delighted. Like I said, I found that little bug, and hopefully they'll fix that soon. But to be honest, it's not a great big deal. It would have been nice if they'd have put a button on the King where you could have just told the flash not to fire, like, instead of turning it off, and then you could have got your ambient and then just turn the button back on. But anyway, you don't get everything, even on the Pocket Wizards and the bloody, all the posh things, they all have the little bugs and stuff like that. But the main thing is the work spot on, which is what everybody cares about, and what I cared about, that they're going to fire when I want them to fire, that I can control them when I'm nowhere near me flash. I can just put it on a stand, and especially when I'm at weddings, they don't need line of sight. I have got a built-in wireless trigger in my 600D. I could use that, but that needs line of sight, whereas these, they do the same thing and they don't need line of sight. My ultimate goal is, at the minute I've got a 580X and a 560 YN. My ultimate goal is to get a YN 565, which is 100 and something pound, another receiver, King receiver, and I want to run all them on the Kings, on Group A and Group B, and be able to control a backlight and a front light. At the minute I'm not going to be able to do that, but I just want to make sure that the Kings are reliable as they are, and then once I know that, I can then implement my new flash, my YN 565, which I know works great with the Kings, because I know somebody who's tested it. Once I've got these tested and I know they're going to be reliable, I'll then implement another receiver and a YN 565 flash, so that I can go out at a wedding and use a key light, a fill light, a key light, an air ground light, an air light, and control them all from my camera on Group A and Group B, and that would just be phenomenal for me, and I'm sure it'd be phenomenal for you guys. Anyway, see you in part 2, where I'll let you see the camera menus, I'll let you see the flash, I'll show you a couple of pics, and we'll get a bit more in depth.